And I always say it's the most rebellious thing we could be doing right now. The noise of the world is distracting us from the purpose of our life.
Welcome to the Vitalist Podcast, where healing meets wonder. This is your space to gain transformative knowledge, deepen your mind-body connection, and awaken your human spirit. If you're ready to connect with your innate potential, embrace life's challenges, and expand what you believe is possible, this is the place. Get ready to slow down, be moved, and live like a true vitalist. Elaine is a certified master life coach, inspiring author, sought-after private retreat leader. She graduated from Northwestern University and is a proud mom of 2 adult sons. With over 30 years of experience and having touched the lives of more than 40,000 patients and countless coaching clients, Elaine has unveiled the powerful approach to living called the quiet way. Elaine, you pose a great question, and you say, when was the last time you were quiet enough to hear your own soul's voice? So I feel like this conversation is going to have layers of depth to it, because it's not just about saying be quiet. And so I'd like to just start with, first of all, the riddle I want you to solve is, how does someone who listens to heavy metal music get quiet?
Look, there are things that put you in the zone, and that is my zone. I grew up in the 80s. I love heavy metal, and it's my way to just zone out. And it's part of quiet. You know, when you tap into something you love, whether it's playing the violin or listening to jazz, mine's heavy metal, anything that really moves your soul.
Yeah, I bet there's such a difference listening to it, like having that input, and then not having it. There's like that contrast, right, of that stimulation and then that lack of stimulation. You find your center probably in a different way.
That's right, exactly. And we're all looking for our center.
Tell me what inspired this book. This book is about 7 paths that really get you to the truth of who you are. And so what inspired it?
Quiet was always my nature, my true essence. I think we're all here, and we're born quiet. We're born in that childlike state of wonderment and curiosity. And that was my childhood, growing up in Northern California in the redwood forests and around beauty and nature. But as I got older and more responsibilities, got married, had children, started a career, my life got so loud. And what inspired this book was, how do I get back to that peaceful state that we are all longing for right now, especially? And so I went on this quest to find inner peace again and being able to connect to myself. Because if we can't connect to ourselves, we can't connect outwardly.
Is nature required for us to get quiet? Or do you feel like we can get quiet at a rock concert? We can get quiet, with kids screaming in the background. Like, what's required, like, in our physical environment for us to get quiet, or is it not required?
Being in nature is just a reflection and a mirror for us. So getting quiet in nature really is my favorite place. Nature teaches us everything. I mean, look at right now, we're recording this in the fall, and can you imagine, even though we're in Arizona, places in the Northeast, like the leaves are changing, and it's who we are. And we are change. Every day we wake up, and you and I haven't seen each other for a few months, and even though I know you very well, you've been adjusting me for years, you're a new person. You've changed. And when we can allow ourselves that change, and when we can then show up with people around us who embrace that change, that's rare.
Tell me, how do you define get quiet? Because a lot of people might say, what do you mean get quiet? Does that just mean don't talk? Like, how do you define it?
Well, the story around the title of the book, I, in my previous life, was a dental hygienist, and I sat with over 40,000 patients one-on-one. And I saw their health histories, I saw the health of their bodies, the health of their mental, emotional, the health of their spiritual. And after almost 30 years of sitting chairside with human beings, a friend of mine asked me, she said, Elaine, what did you learn sitting with all those people? And the two words that came out were, I just want people to get quiet. And at that time, I didn't know really what that meant. I mean, I knew my life had gotten loud, so that would help me. So any coach, anyone facilitating healing goes first. And so that's when I really went deep into what would getting quiet really mean. And that's the day I found the labyrinth.
Take me into the labyrinth. Most people don't know what this is. I'll tell you personally, when my first discovery of the labyrinth happened, I was in Hawaii with Sarah, and I got there and I'm like, why would we want to walk through this? And I don't know if Sarah remembers this, but we were walking through it and I was getting so frustrated. I was like, it started raining, I got uncomfortable, and the labyrinth is life. It really is life. So tell me, what is the magic of the labyrinth?
The day I found it, I was running around, in a million different directions. I had become a single mother, going through a really difficult divorce, and running to the carpool line, trying to get my kids on time. But I stopped at a coffee shop, and there was a guy, and we just started to talk, and he was literally one of those angels in your life that come out of nowhere to bring you a message. He guided me to a retreat center. And in the back of that retreat center was a labyrinth. And I was so excited to go. I thought, wow, maybe this is what I really need. Maybe this guy has this message for me. So later that day, I found out that labyrinth was only a half a mile from my house. I had driven by it over 20 years, but because it was a different religious background than mine, it prevented me. I really kind of put a limitation on going there. But that day, I was so desperate to find some answers to my life, to the chaos, to how to help myself heal, to how to help and support my children during a difficult time, that I just pushed through and I just said, no, I'm going to go. No matter if it's not for me, I'm still going to go. And that was a day that changed my life, because the labyrinth is a place that you can connect to your soul. And a labyrinth is a 4,000-year-old ancient meditative tool. It's a formation in the ground. You can find them in hospitals, at churches. So many people now, though, are creating them on their private properties. We are desperate to find some peace and quiet. And we're desperate to find some answers that are true for us. And we can connect to those answers when we get into a state of being so relaxed that we can connect to our soul. And when you get to the center of the labyrinth and traverse around, there's only one way in and one way out. It's not meant to confuse you. But like you said, it's a metaphor for life. There are twists and turns.
Well, it confused me. But I was in a confusing time in my life. It makes perfect sense. So when you're in the labyrinth, what happens for you? Like, do you go into a calm meditative state? Do you say a mantra? Like, what do you do in the labyrinth?
There's an innocence about this. And just like any type of approach to meditation, whether it's transcendental meditation, which I've practiced for over 30 years, or any type of anyone's personal state of meditating, you go into it like a childlike innocence with no expectation. That's the best way. Yeah. The very first time, that day that I went for the very first time, I got midway through, and I thought I really was going crazy, Keiko. I was like, I am circling these paths in the desert, desperate for an answer about my life's direction. But it was so quiet that day, and I remember I could hear the birds chirping and the gravel crunching under my feet, and I could feel myself as a human being instead of feeling so numb from the grief that I had been experiencing for years. And that day, when you say, what happens in the labyrinth, I heard a message, a very clear message. And the message was, surrender. It was as if someone was just right here on my shoulder.
Yeah. Tapping you on the shoulder.
Surrender. And I was like, oh, that's funny. I don't think so. There's no way I'm going to be able to surrender. Oh, no. I needed control and nothing else. I did not need uncertainty. There was plenty of that at the time. But I sunk into that message because it was so clear.
Yeah.
I thought, where'd that come from? And I got to the center and felt so peaceful. I thought, okay, there's something going on here. You know, I went back to my car that day and turned on the car radio, and there was the announcer on the radio talking about, of all things, surrender. So that freaked me out because this was before I really understood synchronicities and messages and
Right.
energy. I didn't go back to that labyrinth for a month because I thought there's something going on over there and it's going to require me to change. But a month later, I went back and started having the same types of messages, very clear. And I know now they were coming from the deepest part of me, my true essence.
Is that the first time you've heard like that tap on the shoulder, that voice? Was the labyrinth that first experience?
I had heard it when I was younger. I was very intuitive when I was younger. But my life got so loud and chaotic that I lost the ability to connect to that. To connect to God, to connect to your soul's voice, to connect to your intuition, which is our birthright. And particularly for women, you know, we feel so lost when we're disconnected from that voice. And I really felt like I was getting myself back, like I was getting my mojo back, like I was feeling so good. I couldn't get enough of going to that labyrinth. I would be going 3-4 times a week. Tell me more, tell me more. I had been asleep for so many years. And this was waking me up in ways that were just so thrilling to me. I was being able to make great decisions for myself.
Yeah.
I was being able to help my kids in ways that I wasn't able to before. And I saw them thriving and them healing. And it was just such a magical time finding that labyrinth that day. And those were the muscles that I was building. And now I can use and connect my intuition and connect my soul's voice and hear those messages outside the labyrinth. Because that gave me the beginnings. And now I can just know what to do and how it feels and the senses that come over me and know what exactly is happening and trust it. Because it's one thing to hear messages, it's another thing to trust it, and then it's a whole other level in terms of taking action from what you hear. But that's what will happen.
I feel like that really laid the foundation for you to like connect to that voice, but now you have the labyrinth everywhere. Like you know how to channel it on the spot. And I feel like it was your continued practice. Like you didn't go once and say, I got this, I'm fine. And I think it's the same with meditation. It's we show up and we show up and we show up to receive something inside us. So what can you speak to, you know, how often do you still go to the labyrinth, or do you feel like you don't need to go anymore?
I go when I'm called to go.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's a calling. It literally calls to me.
Back. It calls you back.
It calls.
You have this relationship with the labyrinth.
Yes, because it's uncanny. If I don't go for a period of like a week or 2 weeks, or even a month, it's uncanny when I'm called to go that it is answering a question that I really needed to know, that it was weighing heavy on me. You know, we, particularly as women, carry the weight of the world.
Yeah.
We're nurturing everybody but ourselves. We're carrying everybody's worries. We're making sure everyone else's dreams are coming true but ours. And we carry so much, and in the labyrinth is where you can release all that you're carrying. And that's why you get into such a state of receptivity of being able to receive these messages from beyond yourself.
You said that word surrender when you were in the labyrinth. Like, that was a very clear message. How did being in the labyrinth and hearing that change you as a woman? Like, when you went back home, what was the first thing you did?
I remember listening to my children like I had never listened before. I surrendered needing to have the answer for them.
What would you say to women that are on a similar journey? Because I feel like a lot of women are in that go, go, go. We're serving everyone. We're taking on that burden, and they haven't found the time or space to get quiet. What do you say to them? Like, what's a simple step where they can just, hey, let me just show you what it could be to get quiet?
The 7 paths start with nurturing your body. And that doesn't mean going to the gym and pounding on weights and running marathons. It's the first, it's awakening to this beautiful body. That's the first step. That's the first path. It's tuning into our abdomen, our life force, whether it's our immune system, whether it's our womb that has housed children. It's tuning in and just feeling such a deep appreciation for the human body that is taking you everywhere your soul wants you to go. That's the first step, I would say.
I love how it's coming back into the body. You know, it's not going to do something. It's staying here and really just listening. Why do you think, and I'm sure this happens with men too, but why do you think women get so disconnected from their body?
Well, first, I think either women or men, we as humans tend to stay in our heads, in our minds, this overthinking mind that is brilliant but also causes so much suffering and chaos.
Agreed.
So how can we then drop from our overthinking mind into our hearts, and then then down into our souls? That's really the journey we're all on. Women tend to carry so much, as I was saying, that we tend to stay in our heads and overthink so much. We wake up in the middle of the night just obsessing endlessly over things. And how can we quiet that? You know, getting into our bodies, moving our bodies, shaking our bodies, breathing, connecting with our breath, hearing our breath. I remember one client of mine, after she read Get Quiet, she was sleeping one night next to her snoring husband, and she had put these new earplugs in. Well, he got up and left for the morning, off to work, and she was left still in bed with these earplugs in. And she said, Elaine, for the first time, I actually heard myself breathing. And it was completely transformational. She's like, I heard my breath. I heard myself breathing. It's these little things, you know, getting quiet is so simple and so profound. And I always say it's the most rebellious thing we could be doing right now. But it's the most important thing, because the noise of the world is distracting us from the purpose of our life. And if we are not on the path of purpose and lack of meaning in our life, we're not going to have joy in our life.
Right.
And we're all here to make an impact. We are all here to make a very unique impact. And when we can get quiet enough to feel that and really hear it and know it from the depths of our soul, and the Get Quiet way will guide you there.
And we need that guide. Like, I don't remember ever getting taught, you know, to be still and to really listen to my body. And I've had that same experience with earplugs. I used to do yoga with earplugs because I could really tune into my breath. And it's just, how often do we listen to the body? Even the sounds of the body, you know, the stomach gurgling, the heart beating. So I love that you really bring people into connection back with the body. What do you think are the obstacles that women face with getting quiet? Like, why is it why did it take you years to find it? What's getting in the way?
I think the concept of just wanting more, 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 which is a very human, we would say noble thing. But the problem is we create extra work and avoid the real work. And that's the pain point.
Yeah.
And we are running away from all that we've swept under the carpet to avoid because we don't want to feel the pain of our life. We don't want to feel the pain of an unhappy relationship. We don't want to feel the pain of a struggling child. We don't want to feel the pain of a poor health diagnosis. And when all of this is piling up in this beautiful body, in our energy field, we become numb. And we're unable to actually know what the next right step is and the next best direction. We just are numb. So we can't even really feel what it is to do next. And that's why when we get quiet and walk the paths, the first path I said was nurture your body. The second path is cleaning and clearing out your environment. This is all about the heart space and opening up your heart energy. And I remember after my divorce, my heart was so closed. Oh my goodness. I had walls up that were as thick as the thickest prisons. But as I began to clean and clear out my environment, throwing away the kids' toys that they had grown out of, throwing away old clothes, throwing away, knickknacks and things, just clutter everywhere, and making space so that you could walk into a room and actually breathe and find yourself. That's the second path of clearing and cleaning out your environment. And the walls just came crashing down. And it was that year that I did that I actually met my fiance, Michael, who you know well. So these are all paths of discarding what is getting in our way of getting to the center of ourselves and connecting to the truth of who we are, which are really bright, loving souls.
Do you think we consume so much, right? We buy things to fill a void and, whatnot. And so that idea of you going home and just like, I'm going to clean the closet, I'm going to throw away the toys. Why do you think why is it so hard? Why do we keep all this stuff?
Well, I was a memory hoarder. I think a lot of people can claim that they are memory hoarders.
Yeah.
It feels good. Our environment is a direct reflection of what's going on in our minds. Mm-hmm. So when we clean and clear out those things that we just say, I can release this. They've created safety up until now, but now I no longer need that safety, that I'm going to now find safety within my body, and I don't need that outside of me. With these knickknacks that are just holding me down.
Yeah.
And it's such a freeing experience when you can find safety in your body with a regulated nervous system and a healthy mind and an open heart. It really is a game changer for your whole life. So cleaning and clearing out my environment, that's not only just physical items, Keiko, but it is people.
Absolutely.
It is friendships that, are maybe not serving you anymore at the highest level. They're not nourishing. They're not supportive. Maybe there's gossip going on. Maybe there's betrayal. And it's also who's sleeping in your bed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
do you find that some women feel guilty or shameful, or that they might be perceived as selfish by everything you're talking about, getting quiet, nurturing your own body, really kind of putting yourself first? What do you say to those women that have some hesitancy about that?
Two things. One, it's that age-old, put your oxygen mask on first. Mm-hmm. Save yourself first before you think you're going to help anybody else. Such a simple concept and so profound at the same time. But I think we have this guilt of like, if we are only focusing, let's just say, on our work, or only focusing on giving our energy to our children, or there's such a displacement of balance and harmony in terms of where we're giving our time and attention and energy. I know, the best parenting advice that I could give any, couple would be to spend time with your mate. Forego the baseball game, forego the ballet recital. Don't always think you're always having to just show up for your kids 100%, because what kids really want is a healthy mom and dad, or whoever the partner is for that person. They just want a healthy, stable, safe place to know that their parents are their true north.
What would you say your sons noticed about you while you were going from like this loud, chaotic life to finally just finding your center, getting quiet, knowing who you are, coming back to that? Like, what would they say about Mom?
Well, I have to laugh because, before I'd be like that mom, at the baseball field yelling like, come on, go, you can, And then it was like, no, I just showed up wanting to just see them do something that they absolutely loved, whatever the performance was. And I saw such a shift in myself of peace and not needing to push or control, or, you've got to do it this way or that way. And then I realized all the other parents were still going crazy. And I was like, I'm glad that I've shifted this, because that's how I look.
That's what you were, right?
So I think they really saw me as so much more peaceful, so much more grounded, of course, so much happier.
Was there because you were in a marriage, you had 2 kids, and I know the marriage ended, and then you were a single mom, right? So with this practice, what were like the learning curves for you as a woman? What was required? What was asked of you in that time?
What was required of me, which I intuitively went to do, was I wanted to help myself so I could help my kids. So I actually went and became a life coach. I dropped the dental hygiene instruments and became a life coach. And they say when you become a life coach, the first time you go through the program, you're really doing it for yourself. And then the second time you do it to help your clients. So that first time I did it, I was really there wanting to get information to help myself and my kids. So what was required of me was this new information of how to heal, how to help a child who's suffering. And of course we had, a team around us too of supporters, but I was really the only, I was mom and dad. So it required a lot of new information, and it required a lot of inner healing within myself, because as parents, we go first. There's so many times parents want to just, bring their kids to a therapist, and the kid's like, why am I here? It's them that they're the crazy ones.
It's a smart child.
Yeah. And I was very mindful of that. So
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm going to go first. I'm going to help myself first.
I'm going to go first. We actually have a policy in our studio where we do not adjust children unless the parent has come in, unless the parent has said, I know I'm responsible for this child, and this child picks up on my energy. So that's the relationship that we want to curate. Yeah, but me first, right? What are some things that women come to you seeking? Like, are they coming to you like, my mind is just a chatterbox and I just need you to help me slow it down? Or what's like the most common thing that women will come to you with?
There's a lot. I would say first, they're wanting peace in their life.
And then what's the first step you'll take to help them feel that peace? Or what do you recommend taking away?
We have to go inward and find that peace, so we know what that feels like and how to have it. So the very first thing is we go to the labyrinth.
How would you say your health and like vitality has changed with your whole methodology, your practice?
Well, it's night and day. When I was in the middle of a divorce, I had autoimmune issues, which affects everything in your body, which creates so much worry, which created so much pain and suffering because I didn't have the answers. And then, of course, then hormonal changes through perimenopause and menopause. Of course, you here at Kinfolk have helped me tremendously with my health, mind, body, and soul. So through the Get Quiet way and through a team of people, my health is, I feel 20 years younger than I have to remind myself of my age, because I really have so much more energy, so much higher cognitive function, and zest for life. I was in a situation the other day, and I had someone come up to me who had tears in their eyes. They had just read the book and how much it changed their life. And I thought, my God, I'm just getting started at my age. And most people my age would be winding down to like, okay, well, retirement's coming, you
Right.
know. And I was just with Dr. Jeffrey Bland, who you know is the creator of functional medicine. And I loved his definition of retirement. It's not to retire and set off to the sunset. It's actually a retiring of tires
Oh, I like that.
to get some new tread,
New tread.
and keep going.
So what kind of wheels you getting?
Yeah, hey, that'll be the next thing.
So tell me, with the paths, there's 7 paths. I don't want to give all the book away because I want people to read this. Because even for me, Sarah and I reading this, you can hear your voice and you can feel like, we always call you like our second mom. Like you can feel that nourishing energy and just the words you say. It's just, I love this book so much. And I feel like every woman and man should read this. But what of the paths, what did you find was the most challenging path for you?
The third path, which is always the most difficult, and it's the longest path because it's the path that is the outer path, closest and abuts up to the outside world, and that is the path of the mind. How do we quiet the mind? How do we get to a state that I call no mind? That's the good stuff. And in the chapter in Get Quiet, it will guide you through that.
Yeah, we won't give it away. You have to read it. When you experience that no mind state, because I've had the luxury and privilege to experience it too, what comes through? Like, is it still a voice, or do you get more feelings or visions? I'm sure it's all the above, but what's common for you?
Well, it's like I say in the book, you know, it's like running out into the universe and just playing amongst the stars.
Wow, I love that image. Yeah, it's this curiosity too. You're not demanding an answer. You're not trying to get an answer. You're just open and receiving.
It's pure freedom.
Yeah. Why is this so hard to do?
We live in a modern world with a lot of distractions, and they're all great opportunities, but we don't have to take all of them or spend our time and energy on all of them. I say, you know, find the one gift that you have and go deep with it and really craft it. And that's where all of your energy should be going.
And what is that one gift that you have?
Listening.
Yes, agreed. Sarah and I say this all the time. Like, she's the best listener. You're kind of like, people have said this about Meryl Streep, but she's not a loud person. But when she talks, everyone shuts up and listens. Because when you talk, when you speak from here, and you can feel that. You know, this isn't a fluffy interview conversation. Like, you've had this experience and you've distilled it and extracted it. And it's like, you are speaking truth and you feel that. So I just want to like humbly acknowledge your presence in our life. And I really hope our community can acknowledge it as well.
Thank you so much.
So what's next as we wind down in this conversation? What's next for you? Is there something from the book that you're going to create more of, or what's the future of Elaine?
My creative juices are always flowing, and I have to like, okay, one thing at a time. Right now, my vision is to buy a piece of property so I can build my own labyrinth and my own little, coaching room and I just want to bring people to this magical place. It's really a portal that you can enter to connect to your soul. And I'm really, really passionate about us understanding that we are not just this body, that we are this energy, what I call the soul, that comes from beyond us, that has always been with us, will always be with us. It's the part of us that never dies. And when you can connect to that does not die within you, then there is no fear that enters, and then you're limitless. You're just unlimited, and so that's what's coming up. I'm kind of manifesting this property to show up and really build something beautiful.
I can see it. I can see it right now for you. Well, Elaine, thank you for taking the time to connect with us. It's a pleasure. Where can people find you? How can they connect to you?
ElaineGlass.com. And when you share your email with me, you can download a beautiful 6-minute visualization that will uplift and calm and create a lot of inner peace.
And your book is also on Audible, which Sarah and I listen to it at night. It's like our bedtime night thing. Because your voice is just so soothing and healing. So I just want to share your book, and I'm sure they can find you at the Labyrinth too.
Yes, they can.
All right, Elaine. Thank you so much. We love you.
Thank you. I love you both too. Thank you so much.
If you like this episode, share it with a friend. For more conversations filled with awe and wonder, be sure to subscribe to the Vitalist podcasts. Till next time.